are back for another episode of Bingu, Choom, and K-pop tunes, and I am Choom, also known as Reina.
You're gonna get that right one day.
Someday I'm not gonna think about it, and we'll be fine. I think I just need to change your text, like your name on my phone, away from Bingu until Lacey, and I'll probably be okay.
Oh my gosh, no, your name's that way forever. And my name is Bingu, also known as Lacey. And this is Bingu, Choom, and K-pop tunes, where we talk about K-pop things and sometimes Korean culture.
Yeah. So, how do we want to start this? I had a fan call last week.
You did have a fan call. What number is it?
We're gonna talk 7.
Y'all, she met her bias 7 times. Just a fan call alone.
I've only met him in person twice. I've met him over the phone
like
7 times.
They've seen each other like 9 times. That's crazy. But she had a fan call.
I did. Well, I was gonna say I thought it was good to include that because what we're actually talking about today is fan call culture, and I just think it's very weird because like when I go into a call with Jooheon, I'm like, I want to talk to him about his music. I want to tell him how amazing he is. I want to ask him like fun questions so that way he's not seeing the same repetitive thing every time. And like I just try to go in with the mindset of making it comfortable so that way he's not like, oh, this is just work.
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of like, oh, I get to interact with like a really genuine fan. But there's some pretty weird like fan call culture out there, and we've mentioned this a couple times now. That's what the episode today is. Fan call culture.
Yeah, and I don't know anything about it because I've never been in a fan call, and I honestly, it's very rare for me to watch those because I feel like
secondhand embarrassment.
And that's the best way I can describe it. Because it's not that I'm embarrassed, but I feel like I'm there too.
Yeah.
And that's a lot. So I don't ever stick around to watch them. I only watch yours, and that's a lot.
I will say, though, this last call was probably the best one of them all.
You say that every time.
No, this one really was. The conversation. Did you end up watching it? None of you said anything.
I'm preparing mentally still.
You're preparing mentally.
I'm going to watch it.
The conversation flowed really naturally this time, and my voice wasn't like quavering at all.
Yeah.
So
I wanted it to be a surprise when I listened and watched your recording with you and your bias, Jooheon. And I wanted to be surprised with the questions that you asked because that's just exciting for me. Well, that's why I didn't say anything. No.
I won't talk about it in too much detail. But we didn't really. He asked like one question. I think we just talked. There were no questions this time. It was just like chatting, which is why I think it was really comfortable and like the conversation just flowed really naturally.
So like he immediately recognized you again.
Yeah, and he was very playful about it.
Were you playful back?
Yes, like straight up. Do you want me to tell you or do you want to watch it?
I want to watch it, but you could tell them.
Okay, well, he loaded into the call and I was like, hi, like long time no see. And he kind of like did that little thing that kids do where they shrug their shoulders and they like look at you really cute. And he was like, it's her. And I was like, it's you. And we did that back and forth like 2 or 3 times.
That's funny.
I would have kept going, but my brain was like, stop, Reina. You only have 2 minutes. Stop.
Y'all could have literally done that for 2 minutes.
I would have. It was so amusing, especially because like there was just a click this time because I wasn't that nervous. And like this time I really wasn't that nervous. So there was just a click when he did that. Instead of to just like kind of laugh at it, I was just like, do it back. And so I laughed, but then I was like, no, it's you. And then he was like, it's her. And I did it back to him. So he was very playful about about that, and he did recognize me. There was no name this time, but he knew, like you could tell.
He knew. He recognized
He
you.
knew, yeah, he knew who it was.
Well, it sounds like you said the conversation was very comfortable, and that's really nice to like.
Yeah, and
Know.
that's what I try. Like, even with how nervous I've been in other calls, I try and go into a fan call with like the idea of being comfortable and making it comfortable for the idol, because like they have to do this multiple times a week, and at least for each company that does it, it's usually 30 fans. And I was number 25 in line on this past week. So
Is
I
that
was
the
like,
farthest you've ever been? Like down
no,
the list?
I've been 29, which
Oh,
is second to last. I was freaking out for that call. I was like, this is taking forever. I think being second to last or dead last is more nerve wracking than just going first.
for sure.
I couldn't wait that long. Like, I had nothing after a while, because that usually happens around like 8 p.m. Arizona time and extends until like 9 or 10 p.m. Arizona time. And so at that point, there reached a point where I was just like, I have nothing else to keep myself distracted.
Well, you really didn't have anything this past, like, I don't know. You fooled me because it seemed like you were freaking out over there.
I always like internally freak out and then freak out when it's about to happen. But then when the call happens, everybody's like, how do you do it? And I'm like, no, I don't think you understand. Like, I'm literally dying inside because I'm so nervous.
Well, you're admirable because I still don't know. I still don't know how you do it. I would.
Someday.
Mm,
I'm gonna
Oh,
Someday I'm gonna apply to a Youngkook fan call for you, and I'm not gonna tell you, and I'm just gonna
I
get
would.
the information, and I'm gonna send it
I don't
along
know.
to you. Like, Lacey, you won this. Good luck.
Not good luck. I would. I just don't even know how to. I don't know. We'll
But
see, I guess.
going off of that though, even though you don't know, if you had to visualize talking to like your ultimate bias Jungkook, you would want to ask him about like music, his music process, things like that, right?
Part of me would want to, but a part of me would be like, oh my gosh, like I saw you just posted about Ozark, so like how is that? How's that going for you?
But you would want to talk like a normal person with them, right? Like,
Oh
that's my
yeah,
thing. Like, no
because
matter
I'm
what the
not about to be in
conversation.
silence.
So it's weird looking at some fan calls online, and like I don't watch a lot of them either because secondhand embarrassment. My first fan call that I ever did with Jooheon, even though he told me happy birthday, I don't watch that one. Like, that one doesn't exist in my brain. I cannot watch it. I was so nervous and I'm so embarrassed by myself. But I just watch, or like I'll see some of these fan calls and I'll read like the captions and what the fans like will say and ask them to do, and I'm just like, what was going on in your head at that moment? And so a lot of the common ones that you see are just very weird. Well, not weird, but there's multiple weirder requests, like asking idols. I think one that was given to a TXT member once was to, maybe it's not TXT, don't quote me on that, but TXT had a song Cat and Dog, and I remember people were like taking that literally and asking them to wag their tongue like a dog. There's a lot of ones that people get in and they ask their idol to make like animal
I'm
noises
sorry,
or
did you
just,
say wag your tongue like a dog?
yeah, so like pant like a dog.
Oh, okay.
And there's a lot of common ones where it's just like act like an animal or make animal noises, and I'm like, you spent upwards of $200
For that question. Like
for
that's
that
what
for that interaction.
that's
That's what you spent your money on.
for
It's a two
TikTok.
minute it's a 2 minute interaction.
For the
Sometimes
TikTok
it
girl.
goes over for the TikTok. And it's like $200, give or take, depending on how many albums you buy. And you want your idol to act like an animal.
I don't think I would ever ask any of the nobody. I wouldn't ask anybody that, but if I'm thinking in terms of like, oh, my biases, I would never do that.
I would be embarrassed because that's how they're gonna remember you too.
Is it
Like,
like, and is your goal to try to get the fan call again? because I would never.
Yeah, if I wasn't gonna have the fan call again, I would still never, like, I wouldn't ask that of a
Oh
normal
no,
person.
but
But like, if I wasn't gonna have a fan call again, okay, whatever. But like, Jooheon clearly remembers me, and I think he remembers me as the fan that likes talking to him about music, because he, for the last 2 calls, has always asked me like, "What do you think of the song? What is your favorite song?" He always asks me music questions.
what is
So I
so
think
cute?
so I think that's how he remembers me, because we talked about it once, and ever since then he's always asked me like, "What song is your favorite? What do you think of the title song?" So you want your bias to remember you by the fact that you asked them to make animal noises? Question mark.
Mm-mm.
So a little weird. Another example is, I think this happened in 2020. A fan showed Hongjung from ATEEZ their toes during a fan call. Like, just randomly picked up their foot and
Why?
showed them the toes. I don't know. I don't remember what the context of it was, but then I do remember seeing like a week or 2 later that this same fan got drunk during, like, was drinking during a fan call with Yosong.
Girl. Oh, no, no.
I don't
Like
know if
that.
any weird requests were made during the Yosong thing, especially when you're drinking. But I know Hongjung, the video is like gone now, so I couldn't find it. But I know Hongjung was just like, "What the fuck is going on?"
That's not a good look at all. Oh my god. I could never be drunk and no. I don't know. Like, what kind of drunk are you? That's my question. But it seemed like, but that's embarrassing. You want to be drunk in front of your bias? Okay. That's not, it just doesn't sound fun for either party.
No, or appealing. Like, that's not how I want the memory engraved in my head either. And I feel like a lot of it is too is just like you said, the TikTok moment. Even though the rules say don't record these calls, everybody records their calls.
Oh, that's a rule?
Yeah.
Well, no. That's funny
They're
because what?
it's a rule not to record the call, and it's literally in a lot of the websites. They're like, "You'll be banned from the next one."
Well, Raina,
I've made it to number 7 and nothing has happened.
I think it's because you don't really post. I don't know.
I
You
don't
can't
post
stop
a lot.
everybody. That's
Yeah,
literally
no.
every single fan. That's every single fan that's gonna record.
Yeah. And there's no way either when you like start the call to tell if you're recording.
Mm-mm.
You can start the recording very discreetly, even with the fact that it's like they don't, like, Kakao won't allow you to start recording before your call. It kicks you out of the recording. It's still
No
very,
way.
yeah, I tested this because I was like, I want to record my call. So I got on with a friend and I like tested all the different ways to record.
Wow, you prepare very well.
I was not
Because the
going.
way I would have fucked that up.
I was talking to my ultimate bias. I was not about to
But
not
they
have
don't.
this memory on
I mean,
file.
if you that shows that you read through the rules, right? So it makes sense, like why you would be that prepared. But if someone didn't read through those rules and they're like, I'm gonna record, and the moment he pops on screen and you hit record and you get kicked out, oh my god, you drop the bag
But like I said, it's
terribly.
really easy to like make it like there's no way for the people to be like, "Oh, are you recording?" Like, there's no way for them to check. And there's no way for them to really see. Cuz like what I do when I load into the call anyway is I have to fix my volume. And so I have both my hands up on my phone because I have a little stand for it. I have both my hands up on my phone and I'm hitting the volume as I'm pulling the screen down to hit record. So it looks like I'm just like fixing my camera and preparing. That's my secret.
I hear you. I'm not saying because of that.
No, no, you're okay.
I didn't know that. Wow, the more you know.
So it's just like there's no way that they're gonna stop you from recording, I feel like. But at the same time, like I said, it's just the TikTok moment. They want this weird thing recorded so they can put it on the internet, and I'm just like, why? And why do you want that as a
And
memory?
why is that? Why that?
Yeah, and like I would be embarrassed not only just for asking that of the idol, but I would be embarrassed to go back and watch that video, even uploading it online. Like, I would never watch that little snippet of the video just because that's so
No, it's just
embarrassing.
I would never. Not me. I don't know what else to say about that. That's just. I guess what we're trying to say is that we want to know why. What's the motivation? What's what's the thought process? You know, like
Literally, like, what is the thought process? Because a lot of the fan call culture that people talk about of being fan call culture are these weird moments of like, why did you ask your idol to do that? Why did you ask such a weird question? Why did you do that in the fan call? Like, there you see a lot of normal interactions for the weird ones, but it's always the weird ones that pop up that people are like, what the fuck did you
yeah, it's
pay
always the
money
negative
for?
ones that seem to just kind of linger or out. Well, they I want to say they outshine, but it's like the same thing with I don't know, like the bad ones. They just hang out for a while
They do.
compared to the good ones.
They do. And people always remember that too. Like, not even just they hang out for a while, people are always going to remember it as like, do I want a fan call? Like, or is this going to happen? Not even for themselves, but like, is somebody going to do this and like ruin the moment sort of thing, if that makes sense.
That makes sense. What else has happened?
So these ones are recent. Last year, NCT Dream was promoting, and to at least two different members that I know of, Haechan and Jeno, a wedding proposal happened over the
Like
call,
how? Like was it
and
funny how, or was it like for real?
it was like a for real, and it was like odd because it wasn't even a wedding proposal. I would say I think it was just a straight up wedding because like what happened was they loaded into the call, the fans did, and these two fans that loaded into the call straight up had full on wedding dress attire
Oh, it's
on.
giving sassing. Okay.
Yeah, and they made them role play out the wedding. And you could tell that Haechan, at least, I watched Haechan's video, and you could tell that he was just like panicked, like, get me out of here. I didn't watch the Geno video, but I saw that apparently he had it happen to him as well.
Was it the same person?
I don't think so. I don't know. I didn't read
They
that
know
far.
each other. They know each other.
But apparently this has happened multiple times, not just to like NCT. Those are the two that I found that were most recent. So I don't know if they would know each other.
If I FaceTimed you and I had a wedding dress on, and then like there's a priest next to me and he just started talking, like started saying the vows and stuff, would you hang up? I just see thinking about it. You haven't even answered. You're like, let me think.
Well, this changes the situation because it's you, so it's a little different. But if I was just a random idol and I
Of
saw
course
that,
not. You would want to hang up. But if it
I
was
would.
me, you would be like, you know what? This is funny.
Yeah, I'm gonna sit through it.
The ring. You want to have a ring yet? It's either a ring pop or you just gotta wait till I find one. Or I make a ring out of paper mache with your bias face on it. I'm like, this is it. It's actually happening. Surprise. I don't know. That's crazy. I've never heard of that happening.
That one really gives, like you said, Sasang vibes because it's like they made them role play it out too. And one thing that's, I think, pretty weird about these calls is like the companies are always like, if you do anything to make the artist uncomfortable or if you breach the rules and it's not just you in the call and you have like a bunch of friends there, we'll hang up on you. But they never seem to hang up on them for some of the stuff that I'm
Really?
like, yeah, for some of the stuff that I'm like, I feel like you should hang up on them for
Yeah.
this.
Like there's no one. It just seems like someone should be immediately just hovering over them the entire time.
Well, I think there are like a lot of the calls there are translators. And so when you load into a call, they actually do like a small screening process. So before the call even starts, before the event even starts, you send a selfie of yourself with your photo ID. And then when they load into the call, they don't show you the artist right away. They have the screen covered and they do like a sound test. And during the sound test, they can see you. So they kind of make sure, like, is this the person that they said they were? And then they ask you, like, can you hear? Are you good to go? Okay, the call is starting now. And then the call, like, then they press the timer.
Oh
And
my
they
god,
and
I
they
would
stay
die.
and they stay there because I know a lot of calls do have translators that are actively there, but like Monsta X, they all speak English, so a lot of times the translators and the people that do the screening, the staff, they just are there to be there. So it's not that big of a deal. But like there's times where like this, like a whole wedding role play, that's a little weird.
Listen,
There should be
y'all should be able to read your fanfics and be good. There's so many good fanfics out there. Like it's out there. You don't need to like
live the fantasy through a video like
not
this.
through that. That's just embarrassing.
And not only that, I feel like there should be a visual cue that idols are able to give to the staff to be like, please hang up the call.
The way I would
like
literally look at the person who's, advising the calls, I would be like, if you don't press this
if you
end
don't
button.
press this end button right now. Because like the Haechan video, he was visibly like, what is going on here? Like, is this okay? What is happening? He like looked terrified, to be honest, and I don't blame him to see a fan load in, and like they loaded in and
I don't think I would blame him either, because how else are you supposed to react?
they loaded in and they had like the veil over their face too, and they like lifted the veil to reveal their
No. That's not it.
so like I don't blame him for being terrified. And then there's also, just going off the wedding role play, there are a lot of like wedding marriage related questions to idols in the call.
Do you think that's weird to ask?
Just I feel like it's uncomfortable because it's feeding
what kind of
into
questions do they ask though? Like what they see in a wife?
It's like
that's a question.
No, like that's a question that I
okay.
think is okay. Like, what do you see in a girlfriend, or like a lot of people this era, because Monsta X's comeback is Shape of Love, so each song is like a different type of love. A lot of people have been asking them like, what does love mean to you? There was one fan sign question, not a fan call question, one fan sign question that asked Hyungwon, like, if you saw your ex walking in the rain without an umbrella, what would you do? And it had like a list of like options.
But what did he say?
He said he said, so everybody but Hyungwon circled that they would give her an umbrella. Hyungwon was just like, he would just let her keep walking.
Hyungwon.
And everybody was like, dang, what did this girl do to you, Hyungwon?
We are the same. We're the same, man. It's okay. You're not alone. Just know that.
No, he's not. Like, I get it. I was like, they're an ex for a reason, obviously.
Obviously.
But he was the only one that said that he would just let her continue walking. Everybody else was like, I'd get
Hyungwon is like, this is the real me. Everyone else is playing into the idol, but this is me.
He's a Capricorn for a reason.
That's legitimate. That makes sense.
So like questions like that, like what do you see in a significant other? How do you express love? How would you want love to be expressed to you? Like, what are your ideal traits? Like that, those kind of questions I don't feel are uncomfortable. But when it gets to the questions of like, would you marry me? Like there was a Jooheon call today that it wasn't bad because like he clearly knew the fan, and you could tell that, so they joked back and forth. But she had asked, what was the wording? If we were getting married, would you come as Hyungwon's guest or my guest?
Wait, what?
Well, no, it didn't make sense because the question was worded in such a way of like, if we were getting married, would you come as Hyungwon's guest or my guest? And it was meant as a like, if we were getting married, would you actually be my groom or would you come as Hyungwon's guest? And so Jooheon answered that he would come as Hyungwon's guest. He was like, wouldn't it make more sense to come as Hyungwon's guest? And so she was like, oh, you're not getting married to me.
Duh.
But
they know you.
They like joked about it, so I could tell that they like she'd had fan calls before and maybe even fan sign. She was Korean. It was a Korean video. So like I felt there was a level of comfort there to an extent of like he was familiar with her. He knew how much he could joke around and like be playful, and she also kind of knew the same. But like questions like that where it like entails like, would you marry me? I'm just like, do you really want to ask them that?
I think the most personal I would get with questions like that would be, I'm thinking about getting a tattoo, and these are the 2 designs. So, like, which one? Or, like, do you like this beanie or, like, this one? Hold on. Which one is better for me? But, like, what's your style? I'm trying to dress like you. That's what I'm trying to say. But I mean,
So I feel like those questions are just uncomfortable. They're
yeah.
not weird. Well, they're kind of weird, but it's more of like an discomfort level. But like the straight up wedding dress in the video, that's like
That's pretty wild.
what is
I will
going on
say.
in your brain? Because that's saucing level.
Like,
Like
that's
what I want into your brain for a second to see where this thought process came from and why.
It just seemed like a great idea to them.
No.
I'm just saying.
I know, but no.
I just
like,
want to know how they feel now.
that's
Like, did
so
they still think they did a good thing? Like, that was a good decision to do? Like, they're still satisfied with how, like, what they did. Like, they'll think back on that moment and they're like, yeah, that was worth it.
Well,
that's literally what I want to know. Like, did you change
if they
your thoughts?
are sussing, then it was worth it.
Mm-hmm. And they want to do it again.
Yeah. So yeah, that's some of the.
But then, okay. So my question is like, when those happen, you just talked about screening. How'd you put the dress on so fast, or like?
So they sit there. You sit there ready. Like I was ready for the call hours before the call happened.
But I'm saying if you get questioned and stuff first.
Oh.
And they see you.
Yeah, well then that was on the staff, I feel like. Like why didn't they say like, hey, this is a little inappropriate, it's a little weird, you need to take that off. Like you need to take the veil off sort of deal.
Because I know you saw the veil, even if it wasn't in front of their face yet.
Yeah. That's why I feel like a lot of these instances, like obviously you can't stop the cat dog sort of questions because that happens during the call.
Yeah.
But like bigger situations like this, like the wedding dress thing, it's like you were supposed to be screened, so why didn't the staff say, this is a little
It's a no for me.
Yeah, this is a little unordinary. How about you take it off? So I really don't know. Yeah.
We can only guess and move on.
I also think maybe there's a part of it that the staff are afraid of receiving a backlash, which is weird.
Oh, that's true too.
Which is weird because it does state like rules, like if you make the artist uncomfortable, if you have more people in your party than just you, like it does say like we reserve the right to basically hang up on you. But I feel like there's still, with how intense at least Korean fans can get, I still feel like there's this level of backlash that the company putting on the fan call is afraid to receive, of like, if we do hang up on this person, do we have to refund them like $200 worth of albums and give them all the albums still?
And who's gonna be mad at me if I do this? Is this gonna make me lose my job? So it makes sense why they don't.
Yeah.
Right?
That's the only thing I can think of that might be the case in which
I don't think
they don't get hung up.
I don't ever think they have ill intent to like ignore those flags.
Yeah. That being said too, I don't think any of the fans have ill intent, as weird as they are. It's just there's a level of maturity in
I
their
don't
head.
think so either.
And obviously there's the way
until probably
afterwards,
seeing how big it gets, and then seeing the issue behind
how people react,
and then realize, and maybe they do realize like, oh, that really was stupid.
A bad idea. Yeah. Stupid idea. Bad idea. Just because like obviously the way idols are marketed too, I feel like a lot of fans go into the call and they've seen other fans do similar things, and they go into the call thinking like, oh, this is okay to do. And then like you said, they probably don't realize until afterwards when it gains a lot of traction, like, oh, maybe that was a terrible idea. Because a lot of it has to do with obviously how the company markets the idol to be always available to a fan sort of deal. But it's still weird to me.
That doesn't change the fact that it's still weird. So.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. I do have one more going off of your just read the fanfics and like go.
Oh no.
Use that. Yeah, this one I tried to do a lot of research, but everybody was just saying the same thing. So I think this happened in 2020. Jisung Han from Stray Kids loaded into a call with a fan who people were saying wore like revealing clothes and lingerie underneath that were like visible, like it was revealing clothes and you could see like fancy lingerie underneath. And Han was underage at the time, so it was one of those things where you was just like,
oh my god.
Yeah, so he was like, but then she started flirting with him in the call, and making like advances and calling him baby and things like that. And people were saying, I couldn't find the call anywhere. They probably took it down, which good if this is the instance or if this is the case. But people were saying that he like looked visibly uncomfortable and like he was underage. But to go along with this fan was known for she also called his voice sexy apparently, so she was just like using
Bro.
words on him that for being underage, like maybe you should have stopped.
How old is she? You can keep going. That's just a random
I don't
question.
know how old she was, but it sounded like she was definitely older and he was younger, so she was an older fan. Not like older, but like at least legal, and he wasn't at the time. So the weird part of this though is this fan was specifically known for writing fanfics, and this is where the story gets a little like convoluted of did she do this, didn't she do this, was she just known for this and somebody found it and tied it into the situation. But there are quote rumors that there aren't rumors that she wrote it. She wrote I guess there should be a trigger warning. There's a trigger warning after this. It's really bad. PG like 21 and older. Please don't listen to anything after this.
She's
If
at
you're
21.
not...
It's not 18, y'all. It's 21.
I mean, if you're 18, okay, I guess. But there is a trigger warning. So
Explicit.
yeah, it is explicit. It's not in detail like explicit, but if you don't want to hear it, I guess. If you're afraid of anything
like you're listening
unknown
to this with your mom.
You can don't skip, listen anymore.
You could skip a minute.
I'll put a timestamp as usual. Anyway, this part is for sure. She wrote a fanfic, a rape fanfic about him. And he was underage and it was about him. So one, that's weird anyway. But two, like I said, this is where it gets convoluted. People know she wrote this fic and that it is a thing that existed, but there are some people that were saying that she read the fic to him in the fan call, like parts.
Now, how are you gonna mix both of those up?
That's the part where I don't know, like enough people said it that I'm like, maybe it happened, but enough people were just like, oh, she was known for this, that I'm like, maybe she was just known and it all got twisted together because
one of those is
but my thought was people already didn't like her for the way she was treating him in the call, and somebody pulled this out of like the unknown and they were like, oh, she also did this, and it all just converged together.
Yeah, I don't think she did that in the call.
But enough people said it that I was like, I don't actually know if this happened in the call or not. And there obviously the video's taken down. There's nothing about it anymore except what he said, she said.
Bro.
Yeah. So it was already weird that she's older, treating a younger underage idol the way she is. Like, that's just inappropriate behavior to begin with.
Oh my God, if you read that in the call,
not even
dressed up like the way you were. Oh, this was just inspiration for my fanfic. Like, it doesn't sound good either way. Like, I did this fan call because it really inspired me to make this fic. That's what happened. And why are you doing that? And then he's not of age. Like, wow. That's bad.
Yeah, this one was the worst one that I could find. I didn't even know it happened, and so when I like read it, I was like, "What the fuck,
girl?"
So like,
he wasn't the only one that saw that.
No, that's probably why there's nothing of it anymore on the internet. Because
like, can you? Oh my God. Not even that, but I mean, like, in that
like
moment,
the staff,
he really thought, like, what made you think it was just the two of y'all during that call?
Especially because they usually have translators for a lot of their calls, Stray Kids, because not all of the members speak fluent English.
And they had to translate that?
Ooh, that's...
Like, you went ahead and translated that? The way I would have been like, what? Can't understand you. What'd you say?
Sorry, the connection's breaking up.
Man.
Oh, man, I didn't even think of that either. No, yeah. Why did the staff just hang up in that instance? Ugh, that's weird. So,
but yeah, I mean, you can't judge people for how they react to things, because it really could have just been a huge shock that they just didn't know.
Yeah,
they weren't even computing like what to do.
Yeah,
but I mean, it's like the bystander effect.
Yes, yeah.
Wow.
I just, like I said, it was weird enough that you're over 21 or over 18, maybe, I don't know how old she was, and you're treating an underage fan this way. Like, I get like for me, Jooheon and I are just playful, like the it's her, it's you sort of thing. And I can tell he like low key teases me in some of the last calls because he always mimics how when I get nervous, my voice reaches a certain pitch. He always mimics it, so I can tell he's like being playful. But to get into a call and like flirt,
Why would you want the opposite of that? Why would you want that?
no, to get like flirting in
That's what I'm saying.
that's like
I would not feel comfortable doing that.
no, I wouldn't either. I don't even know how to flirt anyway, but like I wouldn't
I mean,
feel
we flirt, but like that's not even.
yeah, but we're like really corny and cheesy about it.
That's valid. It'll get like that's I just don't understand why.
No, and then to
you
read
did
a
that.
fanfic as well in the call, like I know
I just don't believe she did that. I cannot.
like I said, I
can't
don't know.
imagine that happening.
I don't know if it's true or not, but the aspect of it, like, why would you want to get into a call and read a fanfic? Like, that's weird. Like, I know idols know fan calls exist. I know
fanfics.
Or, yeah, fanfics, sorry.
It's okay.
I know idols know fanfics exist. I know, like, Block B, for example, used to read fanfics. But to you read it yourself to them, that's really
it's
odd.
a no for me, but it also makes me think about how often they deal with calls like that. Not that specific, but I mean with crazy questions in general. Like I want to know how often they come across that. I guess it's not often enough because I feel like we would see that more readily
available. Yeah.
Oh, that's just crazy. I don't know. Like, it just makes me want to compare the fan calls to those freaking YouTube videos where they interview or have the idols read tweets because those are always terrible to me.
Yeah, that it's kind of funny when like American born or English speaking idol reads them because at least they have that certain level of humor because they grew up here in the States. But outside of that, I'm just like, ugh.
It's embarrassing.
It's very embarrassing.
And you picked it. Like the staff picked that for them to read it.
What made the staff look at it and say like this is okay? No. It's not okay.
We'll never know.
We will.
Well, I learned a lot today about the craziness of fan
and
calls.
what happens in them.
I will know never to propose on a fan call. I mean, it was on my list, but I guess I won't do it. It's not appropriate. It's not appropriate. So I guess I'll just stick to friendly conversation.
Man, what a letdown.
Kind of disappointing.
If you guys know of any other instances or weird things that happen in fan calls, though, feel free to tell us, like reply to this episode, leave a review, mention it on Twitter. Just because I'm sure there's other stuff out there that we don't know about and like even I don't know about. Because I really only see a lot of like Monsta X calls on my feed and sometimes a tease every once in a while and really just like the fandoms that I'm involved in. So if you guys know of any other weird instances that you're like, be aware that this is something that happens in a call and is odd, feel free to let us know because I'm sure there's more.
There's gotta be. We're just not on that side.
Yeah, no. And I don't want to be on that side yet, thankfully. I feel like there's a certain etiquette when you go into a fan call. You're literally talking to your bias. You should be making a happy memory of it and not something that's going to embarrass you or embarrass the general public or be weird about it. Like, it's your bias. Why?
Would you want a stranger to do that to you? That's the question I always ask on here. Would you want a stranger to do
that to you? How would that make you feel? And that's
would
how
you call the police?
Would you hang up the call?
Would you block? What would you do? If it's any of those, then you
maybe,
might want to rethink.
Yeah, maybe you should rethink what you're doing.
Yeah, rethink your approach.
So yeah, that's fan call culture, fan call etiquette for you, Lacey. That I've mentioned it quite a bit.
I mean, it's not etiquette. It's just
the standard etiquette. The standard etiquette should be you're talking to your bias, like be normal, be a fan, don't be weird. But that's like some fan call culture that pops up that I've mentioned it previously and you're just like, what the fuck happens in fan calls? I don't know about any of this. So that was some enlightenment for you.
Thank you.
And thank you, listeners, for
Yeah.
listening. Like we said, share anything that you think we might have
Yeah.
missed.
Were
Or
you
if
like, oh
you
my
have...
God, I remember that? Did you have that moment?
Yeah, did you have a moment where you're like, oh, I remember hearing
I
about
retweeted
this?
that. That was crazy.
I hope not.
I remember quote tweeting that.
Thank you, though, for listening. Remember to like, subscribe, and comment, and just leave any feedback that you might have. And we will see you next time.
Bye. Have a great weekend or day.
Bye. Yeah, I think it'll be too early for a weekend when this
But you never know when
episode's
someone's
released.
listening.
True. That is true. Have a great weekend, day, evening, morning, afternoon, everything. Bye.
Bye.